KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. You know Mac Daddy Del Norte?
What's that?
It feels great to say that.
Yes, actually it does.
We were out of town last week.
We were?
We were at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
And so our regular listeners might have noticed we had a few replays.
Yes, definitely.
But now we're back, and it feels good to be back in the studio
back
on this February 23rd, year of our Lord 2026.
Yes.
We are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio. And Mac Daddy Del Norte, this afternoon we have a very special guest.
Ooh, how so?
Well, he is
That's
the
a
unique,
fair question.
Yeah, he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Yes, amen, amen.
Also, I feel like this is a big deal.
Okay.
This might be the first time anyone's ever heard about this in the general public. He is the voice of the radio teaching program 2021 Radio.
Really?
Yeah, have you heard of this program?
No, I don't think I have.
You won't believe how much of your life is going to be about this program, and you haven't even heard of it.
Really?
You're finding out with the rest of us.
Yes, I am.
So it is the teaching program that is coming to KELP Radio.
Okay.
The teaching ministry of Coronado Baptist Church, where he is the senior pastor.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be coming. We're still about a month out.
Okay.
But
how exciting!
It is exciting.
Very exciting.
We are excited because here's the deal.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Do you know Chuck Swindoll?
Yes.
Mac Daddy don't. Well, I mean, not personally, but
no,
you know.
I've heard his voice.
Adrian Rogers.
Definitely.
I don't know. J. Vernon McGee.
Yes.
Okay, these guys are pretty good when they preach. Charles Stanley. There was a day when they weren't in their 80s.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
And they were preaching the word. And then they got on the radio. Yeah. And they were like in their 30s, I think. Because I listened to Chuck Swindoll growing up, and he's still on the radio, right?
Yeah.
And he's still with us. He hasn't gone on to glory yet, like some of the others that I mentioned. But we're super excited to bring in younger men who are falling hard after God, and really hearing from them, because it's, I mean, you know, all due respect to all the men I mentioned, particularly those who have gone on to glory, but it's not like that was the end of the work of the Spirit on earth.
Exactly.
He's still working today.
Yes.
He's still working today, and he's speaking through a new generation, and we're super excited to be able to amplify that here through this radio station. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Also, I recently had lunch with him, and he casually mentioned his athletic pursuits.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to talk about that.
Okay. Sounds very interesting.
Definitely, we're going to talk about that. So he is the senior pastor at Coronado Baptist. Without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Pastor Drew Cook. Pastor Drew, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So how many times are you going to swim across the lake in New Mexico?
Well,
I mean, I know it's awkward for you to talk about, but
hopefully I'll be able to finish swimming across it 2 times technically.
okay. And what's the distance on that?
1.2 miles.
1.2 miles swimming. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what's the elevation there?
It's around 70, I think around 72 to 7,300 feet.
It's way up there.
Is it higher than that?
No, I think that's plenty high. I'm not looking for something higher. So you do 1.2 miles swimming, and then what?
Well, after that, it is a 56-mile bike
Okay.
that goes from Ruidoso, from the end of the Mountain Gods down to Tularosa, and then back up to Ruidoso.
Okay. So,
the first-
so
the
when
first
we talked
20
about this, you didn't mention that.
The first 28 miles are downhill. The last 28 miles will be significantly more difficult.
This is like the worst possible situation I could imagine. I think almost all of our listeners know that hill. It's more than a hill. So Tularosa is down in the valley. It's that place we hit after we pass through Alamogordo, and you hang a right. We all know this.
Yeah, and
We're
you see all
going to
those. You
Ruidoso.
see all those the cars, like from the Pixar movie Cars.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
decorated.
That's
Yeah.
right.
My boys love that. Every time we get close to it, my oldest son, Dad, are we gonna see Lightning McQueen's friends? Because they don't have Lightning McQueen, but they have all his friends there.
All right, so you're going 28 miles downhill to Lightning McQueen's friends.
Yep.
Then you're turning around and going 28 miles uphill,
That's
essentially.
That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see.
That is the worst possible. I mean, it would be probably better if it was the opposite. Could you talk to the organizers about that?
It would require figuring out how to do a 1.2 mile swim somewhere in Tularosa.
Yeah. A lot of laps in the kiddie pool. All right.
Or I guess you could go up to Artesia or something like that. I don't know.
Sure. Right. Okay. So you're going to make it back up. We believe this is going to happen. After your 56 miles, most importantly, the 28 miles uphill. What's next?
And then it's a 13.1 mile run just through town, through Ruidoso proper.
Okay. Half marathon.
Yes, sir.
So 1.2 miles swimming, 56 miles bike, 13.1 mile marathon. And which part are you like super confident about?
Oh man, probably the bike, maybe. I don't know.
Both ways?
No, just thank you for clarifying. I am extremely confident about the first half of the bike. I'm really trusting in gravity on that one.
And have you done much swimming in the past?
In the past, I've not done much swimming recently, so I need to get on my A game with that.
Okay. All right. And why are you doing this?
So I know there's a few people at our church, and I've talked with various people about this around town as well, and I've probably spoken with the better part of 15 or 20 people, but there's a new Ironman race that has been commissioned, and it's the first inaugural Ruidoso Ironman is taking place in July.
Okay.
So I know I'm sure some of our listeners maybe are also doing this, but and it's just to be clear,
Lots
it's
of
not
people are
a
doing
full Ironman.
It's like a half Ironman.
It's a half Ironman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So earlier you said athletic prowess, maybe half of that, maybe half of an athletic.
Yeah, I think
claim
for
to
those of
prowess.
us who are not taking part in this, it's very easy for us to say that you're half an Ironman.
Well, I aspire to be at least. We'll
Half
see.
an Ironman.
There's a reason why they do the swim first, because if you did the swim later on in the triathlon,
Okay.
and you got tired, they say if you get tired on the run, you just stop running. If you get tired on the bike, worst case scenario is that you fall off the bike. But if you get tired while you're swimming, you drown.
Yeah, right.
So I don't plan on drowning, but I'm not going to sit here and claim that I certainly will finish the half Ironman.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll be cheering you on. When is this again?
July 12th, I believe.
Okay. And-
Second Sunday in July. So I am playing hooky from church that day.
Oh,
I know.
All right. I hope people aren't listening to that. All right. So, I mean, that's super cool. Just getting out there, challenging yourself. I think there are all kinds of lessons that can be learned as you're really not what I'm hearing from you is you're not really confident you're going to be able to do this.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. And it's funny. I'm not sure exactly how this came up between us when we were having lunch the other day, but I'm curious if your listeners know that not only have you done 2 marathons,
Yeah.
but you've actually done ice marathons.
Well, I don't like to talk about it.
Well, I think we should give you the opportunity to talk about it today.
Yes, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. But I did run 2 ice marathons, not back to back, but it was 26 miles across a frozen lake in Siberia, from one shore of the Lake Baikal to the other. Lake Baikal is the most voluminous freshwater lake in the world. I think don't quote me on this, just between you and me and everyone who's listening on the radio. I think it's 1/5 of the world's fresh water is in that lake. It's
wild.
It's crazy deep.
And you just trampled all over it.
Yeah, I did. I ran across the ice. There's special ice running shoes with spikes on them. And I did this the first time for a good cause. We were raising money for some missionaries. And the second time I did, not so much for a good cause, but it was a special on the Travel Channel.
There you
the
go.
Travel Channel was on a hovercraft gliding next to me with the cameraman on top of the hovercraft filming me.
For all 8.5 hours. Wait.
Something like that. But it was certainly a great day. It was about -20 and just a lot of fun.
That's
But,
crazy.
yeah. So, but I don't think I could do a half marathon.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because that was 2014 and I haven't run since.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah. I blew out my knee halfway through and I haven't run since. It's sort of a sad story.
Well,
Yeah. So
I'm here for you, brother.
right. So it's super cool that you're doing that. When you came in, you were mentioning that you're recovering from missions weekend.
Yeah, oh, yes, yes.
That's a big deal at Coronado Baptist.
It is, yeah. So for probably the better part of the last 20 years at Coronado, we've had our annual missions weekend, and the way that we start missions weekend is with our missions banquet.
Okay.
We usually do this. We do it every spring, and the missions banquet's just a fun way to bring our whole church family together, and we raise money by auctioning off cakes. So people from the congregation
auction.
make cakes.
Right.
And the way that we kind of advertise it to the church is we say, dinner is on us, dessert's on you. And
Okay.
so the very large portion of that money goes towards helping support our short-term missions, particularly with our high school ministry
Oh, that's
every year.
awesome. Yeah.
And so they help. All the students going on missions this year will make a cake. The students help serve the food. They help distribute the cakes. And it's always outrageous fun. We always have a silly theme. This year, it's a silly theme, but has spiritual significance. So this year, the theme was full send, kind of like full send. The idea of,
S-E-N-D.
like extreme games. Yeah, full
S-E-N-D,
send.
not S-I-N-N-E-D.
No, yeah, precisely. Not.
S-E-N-D, full send.
Thank you for clarifying for us. Yeah. It comes from John 20:21.
Okay.
Which is, you mentioned earlier, the program.
Yeah, exactly.
2021 radio. That's the heart behind that is John 20:21, where Jesus says, "Peace I leave unto you, just as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you." And
That's so cool.
I dressed up like a skydiver,
Okay.
and our other pastors dressed up like extremes an astronaut, and then someone else was doing like extreme outdoors stuff, and then we raced up a rock wall to see who won. That was the gimmick for
won?
missions weekend. Who do you think won?
Well, I know Pastor Samuel. I know you. There's another pastor.
Pastor Stevie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where you would light up, but I'm guessing you won.
It was a close race, but
But only one of you is training for a half marathon.
yeah.
Got you. Well, congratulations on that.
Man, this has become, let's talk about how awesome we are.
Yeah. No. So tell me about high school short-term missions, because you're putting in all this effort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. It builds community to bake cakes and then auction them
Yeah.
off. I'm assuming they're being auctioned off for amounts that are way beyond the fair market value of the cakes,
Outlandishly, yeah.
which is so cool and it's
It
so
is,
fun. But why is it important to Coronado
Mm-hmm.
Baptist to have short-term mission programs
Mm-hmm.
for your high schoolers?
Well, for years, I don't remember, we did speak about this a couple times ago when I was on the show. Growing up at Coronado Baptist, I got introduced to the church through student ministry. And the first trip that I went on with Coronado was when I was 18. We went to Panama on a short-term mission trip for spring break.
Okay.
And that was really my first international experience that I had without my parents going on a mission trip. And it really did change the whole trajectory of my life. I mean, I went from wanting to be an engineer or a counselor, in short, to being plugged in and integrated at the church, and just through the Lord's work, being in full-time ministry, serving alongside my wife.
Yeah.
And so in student ministry, when I used to be the youth pastor, we knew that that was one of the foundational pursuits of our ministry is in discipling and training them up and sending them out, was actually going with them, and in the context of missions, going somewhere with them.
Right.
And so over the years, we saw so many students who, whether the Lord just got a hold of their lives in that context and set them on a trajectory of fruitfulness to whatever sphere of influence that they were going towards. But also we've seen a lot of students that are now adults who are in ministry or who are in full-time missions, some of those in pioneer mission work in other parts of the world. So we know that going on a short-term mission trip in and of itself is not necessarily the recipe to helping a nation necessarily. But we've seen that work to cultivate a heart for the nations and students. And,
Right.
And not just with our students, we see that in short-term missions at our church, and I'm sure people listening can understand that experience.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's such an interesting topic that I'm sure we could talk about for hours. But just this idea that these young people, they're absolutely serving there. They're bringing good. They're bringing what their experience with the Lord to that community, but really also their lives are being changed.
Yeah.
And it's super cool.
Yeah, and that the missions banquet, and I won't spend too much time talking about this, but the missions banquet's how the weekend starts. The whole weekend is structured around missions, and what we do specifically is we invite many of our missionary partners that our church works with and is in partnership with. And so I think this last weekend we had probably about 40 to 50 missionaries who were representing maybe 20 to 30 different either ministries or family units that are serving somewhere in the world. A few of them in El Paso, most of them are abroad. And so it's a huge blessing. The missionaries always say to be able to come in and have time with us. But I always am assuring them, we want you to know, guys, that you being here is a tremendous blessing for our church, because they get to it doesn't just become something that we talk about or tell them to do or tell them to care about, but they actually get to hear from, meet with, interact with people who are doing it.
Yeah.
And that our church has a relationship with.
So you're saying most of those 40, 50 missionaries are not from here, El Paso, Juarez, from the borderland?
Well, a lot of them, I would say most of the 20 ministries represented are not here.
Oh, wow.
We do some of those ministries, maybe like the Rescue Mission, Teen Challenge. They brought a lot of their people to come, and because they are local.
Sure.
So maybe half of the missionaries total would, or maybe a third of them would be from here.
Yeah. No. It's just fun to hear about, because different churches have, I don't know, different focuses. That whatever, and a lot of churches are focused only on El Paso, Juarez, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. This is our Jerusalem, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're talking about this global vision. You're talking about high schoolers just making sure they get that first taste of missions, and maybe some of them go on to the frontiers, like you talked about. Others are just going to support other missionaries, or they're going to go into the marketplace and serve there, whatever the case may be. But that's so cool. And you have like a special speaker, or
so one of our missionaries is from, him and his wife are from, well, they've served in Grenada, they've served in St. Lucia, and they've served in Trinidad and Tobago. And right now they're currently with YWAM St. Lucia.
Okay.
They're the directors there, and so him and his wife came, Seamus and Sherry, and Seamus shared. He's the one that preached, and he preached out of John chapter 20, verse 21.
And
so,
you're like, this is gonna be a great.
this is going to be good for radio. Well, and frankly, bring kind of coming full circle. The reason why we really love the name 2021 Radio is that we see this partnership with KELP and with you and with your team here as a very tangible and practical way for us as a church in our small little context over in West El Paso to be able to reach to our Jerusalem.
Sure.
Reach out to our Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's before we went on air, we decided it's going to start March 30th.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. It's the last Monday in March. So I'm sure before that, we're going to be talking a lot about it. Our listeners are going to hear it, but you heard it here first.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I love how you're using, of course I love how you're using radio to reach the community, and it's going to be super fun for us to continue to learn more about that, how we can serve better and deeper in the El Paso area. So appreciate that. If you're just joining us, we're with Pastor Drew Cook of Coronado Baptist Church. He's a little bit uncomfortable talking about it, but we talked about his his quest to become half an Ironman. Talking about the really Coronado Baptist Church's passion for missions, which is, I think that's just such a part of the Coronado Baptist Church culture, which is so fun and like cool to hear about. You're also doing the Perspectives course.
Yes, we are.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Perspectives USA, it's affiliated with it has a pretty big affiliate actually, but the course itself is a missions focused education class that's offered, and it can be taken at different levels. It can be taken as key reading, which is the most basic. It could be taken to get a certificate so that you could actually apply to be, certified to help lead or teach in Perspectives. And then you can also take it for college credit. But the whole focus of Perspectives, and something that started at our church a couple of years ago in partnership with some other churches, and now we've done it again this year, partnering with First Baptist Church. So we have the class happens weekly, once at our church and then once at First Baptist. So maybe 30 to 40 people from each of our churches are taking this course right now. But it's a 16-week course that's focused essentially on having a heart for the nations consistent with what God's heart for the nations is, to put it succinctly. So cool.
Again, if you're just joining us with Pastor Drew Cook of Coronado Baptist, we do need to take a break. And this is the part of the program where we remind people that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media, listener-supported Desert Voice Media. And a lot of people are like, well, how could we support Desert Voice Media? Well, the first thing is by listening to 915 Talk. And you can go to desertvoice.media, that is the website, and click on that 915 Talk link to listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversation. Also to kind of overcome that sense of confusion of how people could become a part, we made a giant green donate button. And it is such an encouragement for us when people click on that and just give any amount towards this program. It helps cover the airtime, helps keep this station on the air. So grateful to each and every one of you who do that. You can't even begin to imagine what an encouragement it is to us. It truly is an honor for us, a joy for us as we continue on this educational journey, as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener-supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Have you ever wondered what it might be like to connect your Sunday faith with your Monday work? Hi, my name is Tiffany Etterling, and I'm the host of a brand new program right here on KELP called the 323 Podcast. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord." Through stories and conversations with business leaders and difference makers, the 323 Podcast equips listeners to honor God in the way they lead, create, and serve. Because in everything we do, our work can reflect the one we serve. Join me each and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for the 323 Podcast, right here on KELP Radio.
915.
Testify.
When I was 18, I was facing a felony charge of 5 to 20 years. Not only that, at the same time, I was diagnosed with a kidney disease called lupus nephritis. But if I tell you, but God changed my situation. It was in that moment when I was 18 where God had ended up canceling my record, sealing my record from everything I've ever done. And at the same time, a year later, he had healed me from the kidney disease. I'm here to tell you that God is a God of impossible, that God is a God of miracles. Amen. And if you put your trust in him and be faithful to him, he would impact your life in ways that you cannot imagine. My name is Joseph Heredia, and if God can do that for me, he can do that for you.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
And by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Pastor Drew Cook of Coronado Baptist Church here in El Paso. I've been talking about so many different things, but let's talk about your thirst for knowledge, Pastor Drew. You've been taking some philosophy classes.
Well, I don't know if it would be. I had to take this class, so I'm.
What?
Between you and me, I've been I've been working on my MDiv since 2015, and I'm still not quite done yet.
I know a few people who crammed their high school into 8 years. Sounds something like that.
Kind of like that. Well, shortly put, I when I started my MDiv back, I said 2015. I meant to say 2026. 2016 rather. When I started my MDiv, the plan was, okay, I'm just going to take a class a semester and kind of get my feet wet, and that's what I've continued to do for the last 10 years. I just take one class a semester, so 2 classes a year, and it's a 90 credit degree. So
okay, so why is it important to you to get an MDiv? It's Masters of Divinity.
Yes.
For those who don't know, yeah.
Yeah, so I go to Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I do all of it online.
Okay.
When I started my MDiv, it was really per the suggestion of Pastor Mike, my predecessor.
Sure.
And he's like, Drew, I mean, if you feel like you're maybe called to go into ministry, you ought to get some formal training because, well, you have the opportunity to get formal training.
Yeah.
Never would I say that if anybody wants to be an effective minister, they absolutely need this or else they don't care. I would never say that. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, that given the option and I've been blessed to have it provided for me by the church, which is a huge blessing.
That's so cool.
I don't want to take that for granted. I've been able to slowly get my MDiv, which for those that don't know what an MDiv is, it's essentially just a master's degree for people who want to pastor, handle the Word of God. You have to take the languages like Greek and Hebrew. You have to study a lot of different things. One of those things you have to take is Christian philosophy. So I've essentially put taking that class off for 10 years, and that was it's one of the 4 classes that I have left in order to accomplish my degree.
Okay, so you have 4 classes left. You've been doing 2 classes a year. Mm-hmm. So you started in 2016. Mm-hmm. So we're talking 2028, 2029 graduation.
Yep, around there.
And you're happy with, like, you think it's worth it.
You know, it's been. I would say that it's often when I've thought I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. Tired of being a student, and we never stop learning. We never stop. And I was being a little I was kidding earlier. I mean, I've really loved and enjoyed this class, learning, particularly studying Christian philosophy. But what I would say is a huge benefit from doing it the way that I've done it. Typically, when people get their MDiv, they go to seminary or they're just trying to accomplish that degree really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like drinking water out of a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
So I've been able to take it very slow and methodically, and often I'm able to apply what I'm learning as I'm learning it to ministry. So I feel very blessed.
That is cool. I mean, joking aside, we regardless of whether we're going for an MDiv or what, formal training or not, we all need to keep learning.
Absolutely. And
the formalized system forces you to keep learning, which is so cool that you're doing that. But I do want to continue to dive into that. But right now we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
Well, Andy, the trouble spots along the east side right now. I want to go there to Joe Battle. That's where we have the trouble spots. Joe Battle and Rojas, we have a crash here. Now, that one just happened, but PD and Roth, they're not there yet. Joe Battle and Rojas, they are at the scene of another one on Joe Battle. This is Joe Battle and Desert Sun on a crash, and PD on that one, Joe Battle and Desert Sun. We see a little bit of slowing I-10 East, Piedras through Spaghetti Bowl area, but more congestion I-10 East at Trade Center, and that's because I-10 East and Lardcraft, they close the left lane there for construction. So you're down to just single file, I-10 East Trade Center to Ardcraft. You're single file there, a lot of congestion. Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, this afternoon, we have Pastor Drew Cook of Coronado Baptist Church in the studio, and he was talking about how he's training for a half Ironman triathlon. And it got me to thinking, really, if that's what you're planning to do, if that's what you're training to do, you should start off your day with a Borderlands Breakfast of Champions. Where would you recommend that he finds that bowl of menudo?
I got a lot of energy in that bowl of menudo. It's bowl of menudo there. You can get it at Eastside Choice Meats because it's already prepared. You can take it home, and then perhaps whenever you're through with your running regimen, and you need to rest up or something, and get some nutrition, get some protein in your body. And that, by the way, that menudo is just full of protein right there, and it'll really fill you up and do a good job. But it won't gain. I don't think it'll put pounds on you, nothing like that. It's just very nutritious, and that bowl of menudo, and that's, you can find it Eastside Choice Meats. Pick it up, take it home. It's already it's homemade, but you pick it up, put it in the microwave whenever you want to. Eastside Choice Meats, Lumaland and Treewood. And Andy, back to you.
Thank you, Charlie One. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite parts of this program is coming up with the segue into menudo each and every day. But I want to get back to the philosophy conversation. But first, we're going to talk current events. Pastor Drew.
I love this.
So crazy things happening. We had a little bit of excitement here in El Paso. Was it a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? El Paso airport was shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Unprecedented since 2001. It was supposed to be for 10 days. It lasted
a few hours.
Yeah, a few hours, whatever it was. All these conflicting reports of what's happening. Was it a cartel drone? Was it a party balloon? Was it lasers? We'll probably never know. But it was interesting because in that moment, it was almost like, oh, this might be another September 11th or, some cataclysmic event that's going to be life-changing. In that time, I don't know if you saw, but a small part of New Orleans airspace was shut down, also temporarily.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, it's starting to fall. The domino effect is going to be, by the end of the day, we're going to have 30 cities around the nation shut down. Some mild panic, like what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And it turned out apparently to be nothing. And then yesterday, crazy news coming out of Mexico.
I know.
This cartel.
El Mencho
was somehow taken care of, I guess we'll put it that way for radio, by the, it sounds like the Mexican army. And the cartel just pushed back big time. Did you see all those videos and pictures coming out?
Yeah, like in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, in Guadalajara.
Other parts of Jalisco.
Yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
It was pretty nuts. And so it's kind of like what's happening, and you start to wonder, well, is that just down in Mexico? Is it going to start to affect us? And I think it's important not to be panic at these things, but to stay informed. Sure. I was surprised today how many people I interacted with who knew people who are in Puerto Vallarta right now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they say there was over like 40,000 tourists there or something like that?
Of course. Yeah. I didn't hear the number, but I know it's a huge tourist destination. They're all sheltering in place.
Right.
And they don't know for how long. And it has to be terrifying to say the least for them. And so I had Mike Cordero on this program twice previously. He's a retired FBI agent. He was the lead FBI agent for the Walmart shooting, most tragic day in El Paso history. But most of his 27-year career he spent fighting organized crime here on the border. And he came on again on 915 Talk and talked about that. So I called him today, and I recorded it, and we're going to play it right now. Just his thoughts on what's going on in Mexico, given his experience. And then let's talk about, I don't know, what the church's response should be, what our response as believers should be when we see these kind of events. Go ahead. Mike, crazy news coming out of Mexico yesterday. You spent 27 years fighting organized crime, the cartel here on the border. What was your first reaction when you saw the news come out?
Well, based on all the things that have happened, not just Mexico, but globally, the United States is putting a lot of pressure on threats to our homeland. Iran, perfect example, Venezuela, another, Cuba, and now Mexico is absolutely on that list.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying that the United States is putting pressure on Mexico, and then when you were on 915 Talk some weeks ago, you mentioned that in your view, and correct me if I'm misquoting you, right. but that the cartel is absolutely partnering with the Mexican government. Yeah. Would this indicate a break away from that?
Well, I hearken back to what I spoke to when I was on the show with you. Being Claudia Sheinbaum in this day and age is absolutely not an enviable position for her to be in. Right. She could not have gotten elected without the green light, the complicity, and the money and power of the cartels. That goes without saying. So she is beholden to them in some way, shape, or form. Then add to that, additionally, now she's going to go ahead and get pressure from President Trump in the United States of America to go ahead and address her backers in the drug cartels. Right. So she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Sure. And that being said, nothing happens to Menschel yesterday without her 100% buy-in and her green light. So that is the Mexican way of governing is very much a hierarchy. No one is going to go ahead and step out of line unless they're given the authority to do what they need to do or what they're asking to do. And if they don't get it, then there's going to be a price to pay for that. So make no mistake about it. She's absolutely making that call. Now she can come out and say that she didn't, which is probably the right thing to do, but that's not right. That's not an enviable position.
Sure. So you're suggesting that the cartel did approve her. Now the U.S. government is pressuring her to push back on the cartel, which she's doing. She's in a bad place. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but where do you see this going?
Well, I think what's going to happen now is there's obviously there's a vacuum. And that vacuum is going to, they're going to try to go ahead and fill it. Now, there's a succession that's going to go ahead and come into play. Mencho, by his nature, former law enforcement officer in Mexico, was a very, very much in control, hierarchy. Things happened and moved forward because he was going ahead giving that green light. Now that there is a void there, and the void may be not just Menschel. There's reports that his second in command, a guy named Sappel, was also either picked up or killed. Still trying to verify that.
Wow.
In that, so now you have a very diverse group of individuals that all participate in this cartel that are leaderless. So someone is going to go ahead and try to step up. Now, of course, the danger of that comes in the United States just not going to stop. The pressure is going to go ahead and continue. So Sheinbaum has to make a decision. Is she going to go ahead and actively go after these people now that Menschel is down and they are fractured? Or is she going to go ahead and dig her heels in and say, hey, we're not going to go after these guys anymore? And then there's going to be, and there is now, as everyone's seen, incredible violence that is going to go ahead and take place, and that's how these things happen. Once they cut off the head, you're going to go ahead and see individuals that are going to go ahead and try to fill that void, and it's not an election; it's with blood. So,
wow, yeah, that's extremely rough, and I was kind of surprised today to learn how many people I know who have close friends or relatives down in Puerto Vallarta or in Guadalajara. Of course, thoughts and prayers with them, with those folks. But given your experience, would you see any of this spilling over to affect Juarez here on the border?
Maybe Juarez, because of, and it's gone, and it's true. The way that Chihuahua goes, that's where the cartel goes as well. It's the biggest state in Mexico, and if you control that state, you control drug trafficking, and that goes that's been the case since before I got here. The reality is, though, is that the question that really should be impactful for your listeners and for American citizens is it going to spill over into the United States? Which I don't see that happening, because if it did, then it's going to go ahead and trigger a response from the executive branch, from the White House, and from the politicians here in the United States. Well, they just will not tolerate that, and then that's a death blow. So I anticipate that every state in Mexico is going to be affected in some way, shape, or form. Because the way that cartel was set up is very much like a franchise model. So you were allowed to participate in drug trafficking as long as you paid the corporate folks, which is Menschel and his people. So that is a centralized in as much as we're allowing you to operate, but decentralized in as much as like they don't really have day-to-day hands-on operational control of each individual franchise, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to unwrap. I know a lot of folks, both in El Paso, around the United States, around the world, are keeping a close eye on what's happening in our southern border. Mike, so appreciate your input today.
No problem. Happy to do it.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
And we're back. That was my conversation earlier today with retired FBI agent Mike Cordero. Today we're with Pastor Drew Cook of Coronado Baptist Church. Drew, we look at these kind of events and they're so beyond our circle of influence.
Yeah.
What is, first of all, your first reaction when you hear these, I don't know, just overwhelming accounts, and really this idea that it's not an election that's happening right now.
Right.
It's violence. Mm-hmm. What is your first thought?
Well, yesterday, my wife, Vero, is from, excuse me, my wife is originally from Juarez. Mm-hmm. So over the last 35 years, there's been shifting seasons of violence in that town surrounding the activity of the cartel. And so the initial thought that my wife had, and that we were speculating yesterday, is, man, what sort of impact could this potentially make in our sister city of Juarez. And
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you have this kind of, I mean, just as we were listening to Mr. Cordero, anytime you have this kind of movement from a kingpin like El Mencho, like dying, this kind of movement amongst cartel, you wonder, okay, well, how is this going to make the Juarez cartel move?
Yeah.
And so I think some of those initial thoughts that you have is, man, our family and friends, churches that we are close with, ministries that we support in Juarez,
Yeah.
are they going to be okay?
Sure.
Are they going to be impacted? Are we going to go back to how it was 10, 15 years ago, or maybe 20 or 25 years ago?
Yeah.
So it definitely, it tempts you to operate with a sense of fear and worry,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah. And then you're pastor of a church. My sense of Coronado Baptist is very strong church culture, great community of believers. When you hear about cataclysmic events, and we can even bring in the temporary airport closing here in El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that had actually gone on to the point where 30 airports, major airports in America, are shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at another September 11th, something like that. What is the role of the church in that situation?
It's a broad question.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the closer proximity, I mean, physically that something is to us, the more real that our, the more practical, I would say, our responsibility might become.
I like that.
And you see churches, I mean, I know you remember this. A lot of I was a boy back when 9/11 happened, but even living in Jackson, Tennessee at the time, I was there for only a short amount of time. There was churches where we were having prayer vigils, banding together, doing all sorts of things, feeling like we were playing a big role when all those things were happening.
Sure.
And you know, you can only imagine being in places closer to New York City where they would have set up safe spaces to distribute various means of communication to get in contact with loved ones if they still hadn't been connected, or
Sure.
So all, you know, I mean, but I would say at our church every Tuesday night we have a prayer meeting, and for the first like 5, sometimes maybe 15 minutes of that hour-long prayer meeting, we have this big list of people from our church that we pray for every week, and that list changes with need. But when we've seen major things happen in the world, whether it's persecution in other countries or just major events, we will spend a few times talking about that, and then speaking in specific terms. How should we be praying for this?
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll pray for it. And that's a good thing to say, is, hey, pray for this situation. But I think as Christians, when we look at this, and maybe for a lot of us, El Mencho dying and what's going to happen with the cartel in Mexico might not necessarily directly impact our lives.
Right.
But it does impact people who we're very closely associated with in our churches, and especially being a border town. Just saying pray for it is good, but saying specifically in conversation, how can we pray for this?
Sure.
What do the scriptures teach us, and how we should think about this, and how should we pray for this?
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting. I like what you said, like, and I'm probably going to paraphrase it here, but something like, the closer the problem is to us, like, maybe the more practical our response should be. And, you know, we're blessed to live in a city that is one of the safest in America. But, you know, we don't know if this will somehow start to affect our sister city of Juarez, as you mentioned. I also love just how you're saying we get together, we begin to pray for these worldwide events. You talked about persecution, maybe you heard around the world, maybe we're hearing coming out of Nigeria, for example, and so on. But it's also, as we pray, sometimes God gives us those keys of what he actually wants us to do, and become part of maybe even a small part of the answer to that prayer. So, love that. It's so interesting, to watch this, and yes, let's be reminded not to just doom scroll,
Yeah.
not just to be with a sense of hopelessness glued to our televisions.
Well, and you mentioned, talking about Mr. Cordero and earlier about the Walmart shooting.
Yeah.
Many of us remember that. I mean, everyone who lives in El Paso remembers that day, of course, that
Sure.
Saturday. But many of us remember, if you were really involved in your churches, the opportunity for us to be available to people in the community. I mean, we had quite an interest from people in spiritual things. We had an uptick in our attendance at our church for a few weeks after that took place. And so we need to be praying for churches specifically in those areas right now, that the Lord would raise up people and churches, communities that, I mean, when those sorts of things happen in communities, it makes people very sensitive to the gospel, to truth, to the Lord. And
I can't even begin to imagine what folks are feeling who are just being told to shelter in place, what a feeling of hopelessness it might be for them. Let's be sure as we meet together in our church's prayer meetings throughout the week to pray for them as needs become apparent. Pray that God will help us be some part of being an answer to those needs. It's been interesting to watch, but again, let's not become victims of doom scrolling and just being focused on our phones and the televisions, but let's pray and give it to the Lord. And maybe somehow you'll use this for his glory in Mexico and even here in the United States. The whole issue of the drug trade, it seems so overwhelming, and it wouldn't exist if there wasn't such a voracious appetite here in the United States for drugs. We can't just blame those folks on the other side of the border. There's definitely a demand here, so we need to be praying for that as well. Well, Pastor Drew, it's been a great hour with you. We've talked about, of course, your athletic pursuits. We've talked about your academic pursuits. The new radio program, for those who are just joining us right now, Coronado Baptist is going to have a radio program on KELP starting March 30th. What's the name of it again?
2021 Radio.
That's so cool. Based on
John chapter 20, verse 21.
Which says?
Jesus says, "Peace I leave unto you, as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you."
Okay. Yeah, it's so cool. And I love, you and I had lunch recently, and you were just mentioning the church sees this as a way to serve the community. And of course, here at the radio station, we're all fully on board with that, and we're super excited about that. So great. Okay, we have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
We're not going to do lightning round.
Okay, that's fine.
We've done that before, right?
We did, and I think I passed already. So
you've passed. Okay, so I want to get back to your academic training, your MDiv.
Okay.
All right, so you've been studying. Did you study Greek? You studied Hebrew. Have you done that already?
Yeah, I finished my languages, so I've done both. I've done both of my Greek classes, both of my Hebrew classes. I've done. I guess it would be easier just for me to tell you what I have left.
Okay, all right.
I just have a couple practicums left where it's essentially you kind of make your own curriculum with someone that is approved as an advisor.
Oh, wow.
So I get to complete those courses while doing ministry.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, because I can use my counseling sessions or sermons that I do to kind of help fulfill some of those credits.
Yeah.
So I'm on the home stretch for sure.
So I've never studied the Greek and the Hebrew.
Okay.
Is that something you would challenge folks to do, or is there like one thing you learned there that has really helped you in preaching?
Yeah. Oh man. So I'll take one question at a time. I would challenge people to look at the original languages. And the beauty of being 21st century believers is that there's so many really good resources that help someone that helps anybody, even if you don't have really any functional understanding of the languages themselves. There's so many good resources that do a good job of helping explain context from those languages for us. And so that's a huge benefit that we have. But what I would say, generally speaking, being someone who wants to be in compliance with what the scriptures say about rightly dividing the word of God, as Paul told Timothy, rightly handling the word of truth.
Sure.
Having, even if it's just an elementary or fundamental knowledge of the languages, when you're approaching a certain passage and you can kind of grapple with it in its original form and looking at just different aspects of the structure in its original form, it does add this extra degree of confidence and peace.
Yeah.
When you're required to teach it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so interesting for me as someone who hasn't studied the languages. Sometimes I'll be preparing to teach somewhere. I'm preaching at a church this weekend. And a lot of times when you click on that Greek, it's just the same word as it is in English.
Right.
And there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And
well, like, the word fear. What is the word fear in Hebrew?
Fear.
It's fear. Yeah.
So studying the word is so amazing because each time we read through it, we get so many more new, not just ideas, but truths that the Lord is sharing through the word. What's one takeaway from the philosophy course, Christian philosophy, that will help you as a pastor?
Well, so I'm 3 weeks into this semester. Maybe this is the fourth week. Today is the beginning of the fourth week. So we've moved through more classical philosophy, and now we're just starting to scratch the surface of Christian philosophy specifically. Mm-hmm. But what I would say, that something that I've cherished even in these last 3 weeks, we need to be people who function with understanding. And there is something to be said, something to be said about studying philosophy in terms of like what the classics said, like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Mm-hmm. When we can familiarize ourselves with some of the arguments that they were making, it helps us understand more fully and conceptually a lot of the arguments that Christian philosophers like Aquinas or Augustine or Anselm, it helps us to be able to grapple with their methodologies and their Christian philosophical viewpoints in a much more functional way. Mm-hmm. And God created us to love things that are good and true and beautiful. Mm. And that's, like an athlete's pursuits is to work out and train hard physically. And so certainly, philosophically speaking, there is very material aspects of understanding. Like we observe, and based off of our observations, we can think and know. But we know that a philosopher's pursuits is different than an athlete's pursuits because it's reason, it's understanding. And so having a mind that is more in tune and knowledgeable of how we as Western thinkers have gotten to where we've gotten can help us grapple with a lot of the concepts that we just kind of accept, and we don't necessarily know why we accept them.
Oh, man. Pastor Drew, we could talk like for 2 more hours about that.
Next time.
Yes, absolutely. Just so enjoyed having you on today. So much more to talk about, but time has totally run out. Thank you for coming in. As we always say, let's learn to love our cities, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hi, I'm Johnny Erkson Tata.